And hey, I am back for the last time from sunny San Diego talking about James Boyd White. And I am almost at a loss as to what to say about James Boyd White. This is a sprawling, wide-ranging reading. And I started you off with it in part because it is so broad and it takes such an explosive treatment of our subject matter. It really takes the concept of, okay, how are, the poem, and I think I would, urge us to view that broadly to mean really any literary construction, and law related. And White takes that concept and just explodes it and is like, all right, I'm going to follow each piece of shrapnel from this explosion to see where it lands. So he talks about it from, I think I wrote 25 discussion questions because he comes at it from so many different angles. And that's great for us because what that does is all you have to do, to get yourself started down this road is pick one of those angles and follow it to see where it leads you. Probably it will connect you up to some of the other reading that we're going to be doing. And I, again, would urge you to skim ahead, take a look. I will post a syllabus as soon as I'm able to. Take a look at what's coming and see whether any of those things resonate with any of the concepts that White is talking about. This I'm really viewing as like a base text for this class. When Dean Anderson and I were planning this class, this was the piece that he mentioned and said, this is kind of the inspiration for what I think the seminar could be, is this James Boyd White piece, the judicial opinion in the poem. So it's an appropriate place for us to start. One thing I think we should talk about in class, to the extent that not everyone is familiar with, I think White assumes a little bit of a law-trained reader, and he assumes a little bit of a literature-trained reader. We are all at this point 2 L's or above, and so we are somewhat law-trained readers. I'm assuming that a lot of the folks in this class are probably also literary readers, but maybe not. Maybe you were a math major and you were like, I need a seminar. I don't know. So we will talk about, okay, what does literature do? What are the base components of that? White gets at some of them, talking about, containing contradictions. A poem that just, simplistically describes something without any contradiction is not going to be a great piece of literature. A story that does not contain some sort of emotional contradiction is not going to be a very satisfying story as a piece of literature. So containing those contradictions is something that, we also do when we write about law, which is, in some ways by definition, writing about a dispute. And so that's an interesting parallel. We have a lot of other parallels there that White points to. He points to, literature's capacity to represent culture. He points to literature's constitution of a culture. In some ways, it could be conceived of as something that takes us to a place and shows us what were human concerns, what were human norms of interaction, what were, what was the sort of state of the way people conceived of each other. And, I think maybe law has the capacity to do that too. So he talks about product, and a lot of my discussion questions were about the product. He also talks about the process, that in some ways the best legal writing is made in a way that is similar to making literature, and that if we do that, we will result in a more compassionate and humanist and more just administration of law. And so that is, I think, also something that we should talk about. I feel like some of these concepts are too big for me to really just kind of touch on in a video and then leave. So, in some ways, this was our longest reading and our most complex reading. This video is perhaps the least detailed of all of them, but that's because I want us to talk about it in class. So we will be on the 17th, definitely spending a good portion of our time talking about this. White's book, we're going to hit on other aspects of it too. That's the reason I asked you to buy that one. We won't read all of it, but I think it's, in terms of a takeaway from this class, it's the most salient one for you to have and to keep if you need to refer back to these concepts. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off there. I'm really looking forward to talking about this one with you guys in class. If you have any questions after watching these videos, please send me an email. And definitely remember to go on to the Twen forums and post a response. You can post more than one response. You can respond to each other. I would love for that to be a vigorous exchange of ideas, piggyback off of each other. The collaborative nature of this class is something that I really can't stress enough. We're going to get there with the workshopping, but it starts in discussion. Maybe someone will say something in a discussion that will send you off on the journey that leads you to your topic and leads you to your paper. It doesn't have to be your original idea. This is a collaborative thing. Law is collaborative. James Boyd White tells us that. Writing, believe it or not, is collaborative. It's collaborative between the writer and the reader. It's always a collaboration between the writer and the reader. And it benefits from a collaboration of minds as well. Even if you're the one who's going to sit down at your computer or your quill pen or however you write and do it on your own, you are never on your own, especially in this class. So I'll leave you with that. Signing off from San Diego. Like, subscribe or not, it's up to you. All right. See you in Columbus.